Hi guys, happy Friday. I'm gonna give people a hot second to jump on here. I will get a little bit of some background tunes going, but welcome in. I realized that there was a little bit of a snafu with the timing that was posted on here for this masterclass. So whether you're live with me right now or you're catching the recording, this masterclass is going to be a really incredible way to understand how to actually nurture the audience that you have, and how do you bring somebody from being somebody in your audience, somebody on your social media, even someone within your local community, into getting to know, like, and trust you, and then into purchasing from you. And for us dōTERRA people, obviously, then into wanting to join you on what you're doing and sharing these oils and becoming a business partner with you. So I'm going to walk you guys through a very step-by-step process that I've done in my business for years and years, and that has proven to work to help me find incredible leaders and just to build an audience, a really great audience in the online space, and to have a system behind showing up. Because it's one thing to show up in the online space, but then if you're like, I'm just getting likes and comments and I'm not actually converting, then that just takes some small tweaks, right? So, hey Christy, thanks for joining me live. So anyone who's popping in here live, just feel free to say, hey, I want to know who I'm talking with. I'm going to put some spa music on in the background. So hopefully it doesn't lull you to sleep. I just slightly hate deafening silence. Let's see. Maybe not. What is this link to? There we go. Okay, hi Jennifer. Okay, so this ebook will get uploaded into OneDrop. It is a perk of being our OneDrop subscribers. You can get these ebooks that I create for free with your subscription. Just search under my name, or you can search under Nurture Your Network. That is what it'll be under, and you can download this ebook for free. So basically, everything that I'm going through with you today is all outlined in this ebook. Hi Mary, hi Stacy, hi Andrea, hi Wesley, hey Glory, hey Kim. Thanks for tuning in with me, guys. So if you want to, you can grab a notebook and take notes as you're going through this, but I will show you guys kind of page by page what I've outlined for you, so you're not writing down things that you're like, oh, she already has that in the ebook, okay? So quick shameless plug here. I will tell you guys that OneDrop is the mecca, the library, the go-to top tool of any doTERRA wellness advocate. We have thousands, 20 plus thousand, 25, 28,000 items in our library. And it has just blossomed into this incredible resource and tool for anyone who's doing a doTERRA business. And what I love about the expansiveness of OneDrop is the fact that anyone's aesthetic is in OneDrop. Whether you're looking for photos or graphics or ebooks, or downloads, PDFs, or presentations, text marketing, email marketing, we have the most brilliant contributors behind the scenes working very hard, who are also wellness advocates, who are like, oh, this works, so I'm going to create this. And so you have over 300 minds who are constantly working behind the scenes to make your business easier. So, and then you also get the added bonus of hanging out with me and doing some of these master classes too, right? So if you don't have a OneDrop subscription and you're wanting to leverage your time and you're wanting to show up in kind of a different light, a little bit more of a professional or a different aesthetic, OneDrop can be a very, very affordable option for you. So head over to onedropdesigns.com and you guys can opt into a subscription. Okay, so let's dive into nurturing your network, okay? So in this ebook and in this class, I'm going to dive into 3 main pillars behind this, because I could probably talk to you guys about nurturing your network and your brand and your brand voice for hours. But I want to keep this hyper-focused on converting, okay? So first part is understanding your customer's journey. What is a customer journey? Some of this is going to be a little bit more like marketing lingo, so just stay with me. I promise you I will try to keep it as basic as possible, but what is a customer journey and what do you need to understand it? Number 2 is nurturing tips. So how you connect and sell to your community. And then number 3 is an action checklist. So start nurturing with a purpose. I love listening to people who are doing what I want to do. But sometimes I feel like I'll listen to somebody speak and like it's super inspiring and super motivational. And then I'm like, and I need to come up with a game plan. What am I supposed to do, right? Like, and sometimes that's a gift because you can tap into your own intuition of like what feels really aligned with you. But sometimes I just want a checklist. Tell me what to do. Give me the checklist. Let me like pull my creativity into these little checklists, right? So, yes, I love all the comments. One drop saves me so much time. It makes me look so good. It's true, right? Okay, so first part, understanding your customer's journey. So if you don't know what a customer journey is steps that your customer takes to move from first knowing about you and your business to becoming a loyal and raving fan. Like that's the goal truly here, is to not only have somebody who's like, oh, I always check your social media, or I always check your Facebook group, or I always tune into what you're doing. But somebody who is like, if their friend, if Jane comes up to Sally and is like, hey, I think I need to get into essential oils. I've been thinking of using them. Do you recommend them? Do you recommend anyone in particular? That they're automatically like, oh my gosh, yes, you need to go talk to Christy because she is like my my online oil guru who teaches me all the things, and she's brilliant and she's so funny, and she's, like if we lived in the same town, we would totally go to coffee, right? Like that's the vibe and that's the energy that you want to get to with your customers, okay? So in the online world, your customers may follow your social media platforms or subscribe to your newsletter before they become a customer. More than often, this is how it happens, okay? So this would start their customer journey. From there, you are going to provide value, you're going to entertain, and you're going to educate them on your product, brand, or services. And then during this, they go from basically like a cold lead to a warm lead to a like loyal customer, okay? So all that's typed out for you. And again, I gave you guys like, it's kind of light, but a whole customer journey, just so you can understand the actual cycle behind this. So like a follower to warm lead to hot lead to customer, and in the doTERRA world to a builder or sharer or somebody who refers people to you, okay? Both of those are just as valuable, right? So I think it's important to understand that in doTERRA specifically, we want to keep nurturing our customers because that is where you're going to get referrals. That's where you're going to end up getting incredible leaders. That's where you're going to end up seeing kind of the residual part of your business, okay? So if you show up really well on the front end and you're nurturing them and they become a customer and then you nurture them as their customer, then you're going to be the automatic go-to for when they are wanting to refer somebody, okay? So that's your customer journey. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. So nurturing tips. It can be really easy to constantly bombard your followers and customers with just education, right? Like, especially with what we do, we're like, no, we're like essential oil educators. That's what we do. Like, that's how we show up. And so I think that one of the brilliant things that I see from other doTERRA wellness advocates who I feel like are doing this really well is they actually allow their audience to see the real them. And this is kind of a like rock and a hard spot area because you want people to get to know you at a level where they feel like they know you when you run into them in person, right? Like long gone are the days of being able to position yourself as something in the online space and then to be something completely different in person, right? And so allowing your community and allowing your audience to completely fall in love with you. And that's where, sharing things that are vulnerable, sharing things that are really authentic to you, sharing things that are possibly a struggle for you. Something that I personally keep in mind every time I'm sharing something is if I am sharing something that's maybe a little heavier or harder or, a trial or tribulation that I'm going through in my life is if somebody else is going through the same exact experience right now, what is something that I'm doing that's helping me process through that. That's serving me. That's a tool, an oil, you know, maybe a book or a podcast that is helping me to move forward out of that energy. Because, hi babe, you don't want to just be sitting in this, like, I see a lot of like, you know, like maybe like parenting is hard. Well, yeah, parenting is hard. Like all of us who are parents understand parenting is hard. That being said, is what are your solutions today that made it fun and that made it easy and that makes maybe your processes a little bit easier? And again, this kind of intertwines to like getting to know you with education, and that's the sweet spot, truly, is where you can allow people to find inspiration, motivation, and actual tangible tools from what you're showing up and sharing, okay? It's getting uploaded right now into OneDrop. I always upload them as my VA does, but as I'm going through them. So it'll be up there probably within the next hour or so. So, okay, what can you do to show up and give back to your community, like your followers or your customers? Number one, you can understand their pain point. So what can you do to solve an area that they're struggling the most? Now, I have talked about your ICA, your ideal client avatar. She's the girl you're talking to, or he's the man that you're talking to. This is the person that you have narrowed down into your niche. Who is that person that if you were sitting down at a table that you would be sitting there having a conversation with, and like, they get me, I get them. Like, I love our conversation. It's so expansive. It's mutually beneficial, right? And so, but what are the pain points that that person is struggling with? Are they a corporate working mom that just is like, I don't want to be underneath corporation's thumb for guidelines. I don't want to have to be at an office at a certain time. If my kids get off school early, I want to be able to have my own time freedom. You know, is it somebody who desperately wants to be able to do more humanitarian work throughout the world? And what dōTERRA does with their co-impact sourcing, it just like literally lights a fire underneath them that like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I want to be a part of. Like dōTERRA feels like home to them. You know, is it somebody who has struggled with some type of health or physical ailment or issue that they have gotten tapped out of constantly being told one thing from a doctor or prescribed something and not gotten any type of result that makes them actually feel good in their body, right? Like, who is that person that you're talking to, and what are their pain points, and how can you provide? And this is not providing the answer. This is something that I want to be very clear about. This is not like, this is your specific answer. What you are doing is you're giving guiding kind of signs to them of, this is a direction you can go. This is something that worked for me. This is, you're engaging in that conversation with them of like, here's a few things that helped me. You know, here's a few things that helped me to realize that there was a whole different world of entrepreneurship outside of, you know, the corporate world. And something that I've been reflecting on a ton just personally is just the idea of entrepreneurship. I think entrepreneurship is like the most beautiful gift that we are given, of being able to wake up and do something that we are inspired by, that we love to talk about, and that is making a difference in a way that we want to make a difference in this world, right? And the brilliance of network marketing, I believe, is that you don't have to come up with a product out of thin air. You don't have to come up with a service that you're providing. You don't have to figure out manufacturing and shipping and, you know, try to create the brand itself. You just get to talk about something that you really are passionate about and that you know works. And dōTERRA is a pillar when it comes to this type of network marketing, because our oils just work, and it really is that simple, right? And so when it comes to entrepreneurship and when it comes to stepping into that, network marketing is the easiest way to step into entrepreneurship. And I love that because it's the least intimidating to most people, right? And so if you are talking to that corporate mom who's like, I make good money, but like, I don't love, like, this doesn't light me up. This isn't like, I'm not put on this earth to clock in, clock out, and to sit at a corporate desk, right? So hopefully that gives you guys some understanding of like pain points and solutions for pain points, right? Number 2 is in your DMs, comments, or story polls. What is your ICA or current audience needing right now? So if you feel like, gosh, my posts are kind of falling flat, or like I'm not feeling that connection with my audience, ask. The easiest way to find out an answer to something is to have very clear communication and just straight up ask. So ask in your stories, ask in a stagnant post, ask in a reel, ask your audience, like, what are you needing from me? What's your favorite thing to learn from me? You know, here are the things that I'm really passionate about. You know, even if you're doing a reel, I will tell you, pointing reels, as cheesy as they can be, are actually one of the longest consumed reels currently, because people want to see what the last text box is. So people will sit and consume them, okay? So asking your audience, do they need more education? Do they want to know you better? You know, do they want to connect in? So you're asking your current audience, okay? And then number 3 is add ways into your marketing to create multiple touch points. Like, do you have a Facebook group where you can share like an inside joke or premium content? You know, you're pulling people from one platform to another for a reason, because that shows you loyalty, right? So oftentimes you guys will see that I post on Instagram about these lives. I post them in this group too, but I post about these lives on Instagram and I tag this group. There's a reason why I don't go live on Instagram. I want to pull people into this specific group because I'm able to nurture you guys better. I'm able to do stuff like this. I'm able to connect and comment and do fun things in this group that I'm not able to do on the Instagram platform itself. And so pulling people from one platform to another, whether it's into a Facebook group or it's into, you know, maybe a private Zoom room, or it's into your email list, wherever you're pulling them, you want to make sure that you're nurturing them and you're giving them a value add for doing that, right? So, and then have you created an email list where you can send larger resources that will help them? An email list, a website, a blog is kind of the like final tier of like making sure that your audience is nurtured and they're able to get as much information from you. So again, you just think of this as far as like a common pathway for nurturing your customers. So like if somebody's on my Instagram and I'm talking about this masterclass, and then this masterclass, you guys are added into our email list. And when you're in our email list, you get custom promotions through our email list. And then when you're, you know, on our email list, you also get first notice of anything new that's coming out from OneDrop. And so it's that funnel of being able to connect and touch on them. And also to be able to save yourself time. So like obviously things like this, you know, we work behind the scenes to make sure our ebooks are done and the content's going to add value and it's relevant, right? But that being said, is if you can create a nurturing email sequence, then you don't have to stress over constantly recreating the wheel, right? So we're looking at time optimization as well as nurturing your network. So when you have these things built in place, and it'll probably take, you know, I don't know, 20, 30 hours of really concentrating on your nurturing sequence. But once it's done, you guys, like there's some very small tweaks that you have to jump in and do, okay? So key points to remember: what keeps your community up at night? How are you studying your community to answer what they want answered? Again, we're staying relevant. I think that that's one of the biggest downfalls of a brand is when they stop being innovative and they stop being relevant for their community, and their community is craving more, but your community is slowly like lacking luster, and they're like, well, I know what that brand is, and that's it. You know, like things like this, like the masterclasses keeps OneDrop very relevant, because you know I'm going to be talking about relevant marketing tips and tricks and things that are working, right? Number 2, stop asking, what do I feel like sharing today? This is little reality slap, but your business actually isn't about you as much as people want to connect in with you personally. Your business isn't specifically about you. It's actually about your avatar, your ideal client, and making sure that you're answering questions for them, making sure that you're showing up for them. It's about them and how you can serve them. Of course, you can share what's happening in your life. They do want to know about you. Like, don't like filter yourself out. But 80% they want to know about how much you will help them achieve what they are looking for. So if you are an essential oil social media platform, what are you helping them to achieve? Do you specialize in hormones? Do you specialize in stress management? Do you specialize in new moms and helping to support their babies? Like, what is your specialty that you can provide them value for? And how can you show up for them in that way? Okay. So focusing on your content and being clear over being creative. I will tell you that this is probably a pigeonhole that I put myself in. And it's like, I want to be creative. Like, somebody can tell me this is the way from point A to point B. It literally will take you 2 seconds, Key. And I'm like, yeah, but can I add like a little sparkle on that? Can I do a twist on it? Like, the idea of being like everyone else is a little bit painful to me, but sometimes that actually puts me in a paralysis of actually creating. Like, I'm the same as you guys. Like, this energy of wanting to kind of stand out in a sea of essential oil accounts, right? But also realizing that like that paralysis of like wanting to be creative sometimes can inhibit your growth too. So sometimes it's just being clear, like, you know, this oil plus this oil plus this oil equals this type of relief, and you're welcome, right? So keep it clear. Being clear with your intentions wins out over creativity. Creatively explaining what might happen if they did something. So serving and selling. So you don't want to just write up a caption, then slap a call to action on it without a plan. So there's a structure to nurturing and selling, focusing on serving your community and being clear with your intentions of what you are selling. Not everyone will convert to customer or LRP or build or even refer right away. So this is, I've said this for a really long time, but social media is a long-term game. Like, it is always a long-term game. This is like, you're building up the brand of you, which is actually even more important than the brand of dōTERRA, because when you have built up your own brand, you can pivot on a dot. Your followers are, you know, your audience is there because they crave your knowledge, your intellect, your inspiration, who you are as a human. It's not just like, oh, this is my dōTERRA reference page, right? Like, you're so much more than that. So we're blending all of that stuff in together, okay? And then last but not least is stop suppressing your true personality to fit in with all the other cookie cutter personalities on the internet. You have a secret superpower, and I really want you to know this. It's you. Like, you are your secret superpower. Nobody is you in this world, and that is one of the most beautiful and expansive things to really, truly embody and to encompass and to bring onto your social media platform, okay? So you are what makes you different. You don't need to be like anybody else on the internet. I promise you. And it's funny because actually Gary Vee, I don't know if you guys know him, Gary Vaynerchuk, he talks about this all the time. But like, if you have a secret obsession with like, I don't know, Hot Wheel cars and like, that's your passion, that's your thing. And maybe you're a 38-year-old woman, but like you get it. Like, you get all the intricacies, like you get the collector's pieces. I guarantee you, if you built a brand, a social media around like this secret obsession of Hot Wheel cars, you would attract an audience, because there's people out there who think the way that you think. There's people out there who are like, oh, she likes them too, you guys. Like, I'm just saying that if there's something that you are deeply passionate about, when you can find a way to incorporate dōTERRA into your passion, into your purpose, into things that light you up, the way you talk about oils is going to completely change. The way you show up for your audience is going to completely change. It will be like somebody literally plugged you in, because you'll be so lit up and so grateful and so excited to talk about specific things, right? And so knowing that, like, what is that one thing? What is, maybe it's not one thing, maybe it's a couple things, but what are those things that if I were to sit down with you and say like, okay, tell me, like, what are you passionate about? What could you talk to me about for 20 minutes without like any type of preparation? You know, maybe homesteading or prepping is like your jam, and like you're kind of secret about it, but you're like, no, but for real, you should have XYZ prepped, and you should have all these things ready to go just in case anything were to hit the fan. You're prepared, right? If that's your passion, then how do you incorporate oils into that? Well, obviously you would want some type of holistic remedies to have on hand if anything were to happen, right? And so it's an easy incorporation. Do you guys see how like you can blend these things together and add value to your audience, right? And maybe your audience doesn't like never even thought about prepping or never even thought about having an emergency go pack, right? And all of a sudden you're talking about it and they're like, holy shit, I need this. I never knew I needed this, but I need this, right? So anyways, that's my point is be you. Be you. Don't try to be somebody else because that's where you're going to get exhausted. That's where you're going to get uninspired because you're like, I can't show up the way she shows up. Well, guess what? You're not meant to show up the way that I show up or the way that anyone else you follow shows up. You're meant to show up the way that you show up. And your brilliance is needed. I promise. Like this world needs you. People are waiting with open arms for you to show up. But when you are dimming that light, when you're not allowing yourself to shine, when you're not allowing yourself to show up in that energy that you know you can tap into because you feel like, oh, that's going to make people uncomfortable, or that's not socially acceptable, or this is a totally different way of trying to build this business and I don't really have any guidance with this. I will tell you, follow that nudge. Follow that nudge. Know that that is being pressed upon you by whoever your higher power is for a reason, okay? Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up with our checklist. Like I said, I always give you guys a checklist because this is how my brain works. So it might serve you, it might not. But steps to connect and nurture your growing community in ways that serves and sells, okay? Because we are looking to get people converted. So number one is polling your community. Polling always allows you to collect data from your leaders or customers to know what they are needing right now. I will oftentimes get people asking me in these lives or the Q&As like, I don't know what to teach for continuing education. Ask your audience. Ask your people who are sitting there who are like, okay, I'm ready. Like ask your audience what they want and then show up for them and give the people what they want, right? So do this with stories, group polls, customer surveys. You can do this in your customer group and your builder group, and you can also do this in your brand, right? Like what else do they want to learn from you? Pay attention to comments and DMs. So is there a reoccurring response that from your community when you share something, or what can you do to expand on this to serve more than just the one commenter or one customer DM, right? So oftentimes I will start to see trends in my DMs where I'm like, okay, people are asking this, and a really easy way to reshare things is to actually just screenshot that DM, put it into your stories, ask people if they want you to expand upon it, right? Like even just put a little poll. Do you want to learn more about this? Yes or no? Again, we're keeping this as simple as possible for you, but that's how you want to continue to engage and stay relevant with your audience. Create a lead and customer tracking spreadsheet. So this is kind of a very simplified CRM process, but knowing your leads and your customers, knowing where they're at in their customer journey is really important. If you have conversed with somebody on social media, it's actually really easy to kind of forget depending on your audience size, but it's really easy to like, oh yeah, I did talk to her, 2 months ago about her baby and teething, and I should follow up with her. So have some type of system behind the scenes where when you're talking to somebody, whether it's online, in your group, in person, that you are tracking when you talked to them last, what your conversation was about. Did you, drop a sample to them? Were they intrigued? Did you want to invite them to your next masterclass? So like anything like this, okay? And then what else? Creating a spreadsheet where you can update notes on people you are talking to can help you connect in with them and serve them where they're at on a personal level. Next one is outlining what your ICA's pain points are. ICA is just ideal client avatar, just so you know. But did you do your homework? Do you actually know what your ICA is? Do you know that your ICA, more often than not, is kind of the you of a few years ago, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's like, no, my ideal client avatar is not the me. It's the maybe you're not a mom yet, but you're like, but I'm a doula and I literally I bring babies into the world, right? And so maybe your ideal client avatar is not technically you, but it's the new mom who's a little bit overwhelmed, right? And so knowing who your ICA is, what do they really want? Who are they? You should be updating this and auditing it at least 1 to 2 times a year, just to make sure that it's still on point for who you're talking to, okay? Look at your past content that has actually connected with them. What have you shared in the past 6 months that resonated with your community? If you're on Instagram, you can look in your insights. In your insights, it'll show you your most top performing reel, post, and stories. And like, you can see what people are actually wanting from you and they're engaging with. This gives you insight into connecting with your community, and you can repurpose certain content too. If, maybe you did a whole series on, essential oils and dogs, and your community is like, we love dogs. We love you, but we really love dogs. If that's the case, then you can create a whole nother like revamped version of that, a 2.0 version, or you can just relaunch it in a different way. Okay. And then last is ask yourself, what can I share today that will serve my community? I think that this is one thing that I constantly am doing, is like, what does my community need? Like, what will actually help them to continue to move their needle forward and to build their confidence in themselves, build their brand, build their businesses, drive them towards financial freedom, because that is truly what we all want in entrepreneurship land, right? It's like, we just want to have the financial freedom where we're able to show up the way we want to show up. We're able to give back the way we want to give back, and we're able to serve the way we want to serve, right? But when you incorporate some things like certain financial pressures, or maybe pressures from, maybe you don't have a supportive spouse, or maybe you don't have a really supportive community, sometimes we can take those pressures on and it can influence our business in a negative light. So it's just helping you to get there, to know that I was once in your spot. I was once in the position of just like head down, driving, trying what works. This doesn't work. All falling flat on my face, picking myself back up. Okay, let's try this again. Let's see if this works. Figuring out who I am, growing myself through this whole process. Like, there's a lot of variables that are going into you building the brand of you and figuring out how you want to show up to serve your audience. But I will tell you that bringing people along that journey and being transparent behind that is something that people love to see. Like, no longer are the days of like a beautifully curated feed with like, the perfect family and the 2.3 kids and the dog. And don't get me wrong, people definitely want to see like things to aspire towards, but it is kind of the messy middle that people relate to, and that people will become very loyal and cheering for you to win when they've been a part of that story. Say. Did you get that? Say. Okay. I'm tired. Okay. So that is your super quick, really brief rundown of Nurturing Your Network Brief. It was 30 minutes. It's fine. I don't do anything short. But I will tell you that the last page of our ebook has free resources. These are all lives that I've done in this group that are for free. The ebooks are part of our subscription. So if you don't have a one-drop subscription, I could not recommend it more. It literally is like, knowing what I know about how much we pay graphic designers to do what they do, photographers, content creators, copywriters, it is the biggest steal of your business, and it's a tax write-off, so you're welcome. But all the ebooks are linked underneath my contributor name, and the expansive masterclasses beyond just this. If you need help with, this is branding for beginners, so if you don't know how to brand yourself, we have a masterclass on this. Captivating content creation. If you need help writing content, if you don't understand how to create copy for your social media or a blog or an email, we have a masterclass on that. Email marketing 101. How do you do email marketing in a way that's fun and engaging? We have a masterclass on that. Facebook group success. Like, how do you manage a Facebook group? Literally, we got it all for you. So OneDrop is not an app. This is it's a website. So as long as you have a smartphone, you can actually create it into an app on your phone, which I needed to screen record and show you guys how to do that. But you can save websites to your homepage. But because we have constant updates going behind the scenes, it is web-based. So One drop completely changes the game. Yeah, it does. It's an incredible tool. It's an incredible resource. Could not be more proud to be a co-founder of it and of our contributors and their brilliance and what they provide for you guys at literally, I think it's like $22 a month if you do the annual membership. Super affordable. So again, investing in things like this help to make your business look incredible and help to make you look incredible and help to save you time, which is probably the most valuable asset you have, okay? So this will be in your One Drop subscription. If you have one, it should be uploaded already. I think I saw a few people posting it. And outside of that, I'll be back in a couple weeks to hang out with you guys, but I will still keep showing up. I'll keep doing the thing, and I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Have a beautiful weekend. Aw, thanks guys. Love you too. Mwah. We'll see you later.